Is help readily available in this country to people who are violent?
It's supposed to be. The reason that there's insufficient help to offer is that little has been done to make the suppression of violence profitable. Violence is profitable, but the treatment of violence isn't.
40 bystanders were shot. 21 died in the biggest mass murder in American history. What kind of man can walk into a crowded restaurant and try to kill everyone in sight?
This video series was inspired by the national debate on active shooter situations. The mainstream media would have everyone believe the world is on fire and firearms are to blame. It is my job to teach some of the most elite individuals in this country how to defend people against active shooters and terrorist attacks. In the course of my career, I have researched extensively the history of violence that has plagued this world and our species. It did not start with the creation of firearms, and it will not end with the destruction of every firearm on this planet. These videos are not to bring attention to the sick individuals who prey on the innocent, but to share some insight on our past so we can learn from our failures as a society in hopes of preventing more attacks. In the videos to come, we will talk about tactics used by armed men and women who made a difference in those situations, the state of mental health in our country, and the sheep mentality that we must all be aware of. We'll also discuss how schools haven't changed the way they protect our children in the last 300 years. We begin our video series not on the first recorded school shooting, but on the deadliest school massacre in the history of our country. And the act was carried out without a single shot from a gun. On May 18, 1927, in Bath, Michigan, a madman by the name Andrew Kehoe would detonate over 500 pounds of dynamite strategically placed in the basement of a school. The 45 deaths and 58 injuries were primarily children. Andrew Kehoe was known to have a short temper and very bizarre behavior. He was also known to occasionally beat his horses, one in which he beat to death when they did not perform to his liking. He even shot his neighbor's dog for excessive barking. There were also those that believed he killed his stepmother by rigging an oil stove to explode. Kehoe has served on the local school board and was very impatient with the other members. Sometimes, he would be the only one to dissent on a proposal just for the sake of arguing. His home life wasn't any better. His wife, Nellie, was terminally ill, and the hospital bills for her treatments were adding up, making it extremely difficult for the mortgage and other bills to be paid. However, things did start looking up for Kehoe as he was appointed the temporary town clerk in 1925. But he was defeated in the election in 1926. Kehoe took the defeat personally. Many believe the already mentally unstable Kehoe set his plans into motion after his election loss, but many think Kehoe planned the attack long before he was even appointed the town clerk. In 1926, Kehoe was given the task of fixing some electrical wires in the school. This granted him access into the school whenever he wanted. No one batted an eye of the material that Kehoe took into the school. He was planting dynamite in the basement of the school, wired to detonate at a very specific time using an alarm clock. Before the attack was carried out, he loaded his truck with explosives and shrapnel. He murdered his wife, Nellie, and left her charred remains in a wheelbarrow behind the chicken coop on their farmhouse. On May 18th, at approximately 8:45 a.m., Kehoe detonated firebombs in his house and his farm buildings. As firefighters were arriving to the farmhouse, Kehoe pulled alongside them in his truck, and he told them that they had better head to the school. The same time Kehoe's farmhouse exploded, the alarm clock in the south wing basement of the school detonated all the dynamite, which was strategically placed to cause mass damage. Rescuers and parents all rushed to the school to begin digging children from the collapsed structure. Kehoe pulled up to the front of the school, where he noticed a superintendent. He called the superintendent over to his truck, where he detonated the explosives that were hidden inside, killing himself, the superintendent, a postmaster, and a little boy who managed to survive the initial school explosion. Investigators would later find explosives in the basement of the north wing of the school wired to detonate with an alarm clock set for 8:45. They believed the first explosion caused a malfunction with the possible second. While searching the Keogh's family farm, Andrew's last words were discovered on his fence. The message was seared into a piece of wood stating, "Criminals are made, not born." The disaster made national news, with headlines not blaming dynamite, society, or a lack of school security, but the work of a maniac, a madman, and a fiend, which is exactly what Andrew Keogh was. It was not the first time mankind suffered at the hands of a madman, and unfortunately, it will not be the last. Many things have changed since the Bath disaster. Stricter laws on firearms, explosives, and background checks that prevent criminals from legally purchasing these types of weapons. However, one of the ongoing themes you will notice in most of these random acts of violence will be the madman at the center. It is our society's good nature that prevents us from forcefully treating people with known mental problems. And it is our good nature and unwillingness to believe that any human is capable of such violent acts that we will not associate the problem with mental health, but with the inanimate objects that are incapable of thought or reason. Unfortunately, year after year, we see the complete dismantlement of mental health institutes, which are non-existent in many states now. The media will always remind us of increasing gun violence, but turn a blind eye to the increasing number of vacant asylums that house thousands of people with mental problems. Many of these mental states cause violent thoughts and actions. And where are these people now? They are left alone, forced to deal with their situation, without help or support. And there is the answer to the increase of most of these random acts of violence. If you or someone you know is in need of help with mental health, please contact the support organizations listed in the description below. For another lesson in our history of violence, please subscribe to our channel. And check out some of our more lighthearted videos and our large training video selection. As always, ART would like to remind you, stay armed, stay ready. Thanks for watching.